Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you. All views and opinions expressed on this show belong to the individual and are not necessarily shared with the producer of the show. Want more details? Go to Let's Get Real.
If there's anything specific that you wanted to say and share today, Jennifer, that you have that opportunity.
Well, I want to say a couple things, and thank you. First, that everyone has a message to share. So it doesn't matter whether your audience is an audience of 1 or an audience of 1 million. Everyone's message is important, and each of us participates in the ascension cycle. So it's not one bright light and then everybody else doesn't matter. That's the very old 3D way of looking at it. It's like, imagine, remember the old-fashioned Christmas bulbs where if one light went out, then all the rest of them down the street. We're really dating ourselves here. Not that all the lights go out, but it's like it dims the lights because your message is missing. Mm-hmm. So it's like, imagine a string of light bulbs and your light bulb isn't in there. What do you notice? Oh, there's one missing. So we become part of that continuum of information that uplifts everyone. I have told people for years, and I absolutely believe this, I am not everyone's teacher. I am not for everybody. And if you don't like me, fine. I'm not going to stop. But if you don't like me, then go find somebody else. There are plenty of other people out there.
Yes.
So everyone participates. Everyone's important. It's like everyone's energy is important to this process. So the more you focus on creating that peace, love, joy, and abundance in your life by raising your own vibrations, you actually create that resonance in the world. So when each of us does that, then ascension becomes like overlapping circles rather than, big dots here and there. And hopefully you can find your way in through the dark in between the dots. We have this overlapping series, this overlapping concentric energy that continues to build outward with every single person.
Right.
As I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, that tree of life, the tree of life diagram, how they're all intersected. Well, it's like that. It's like my circle interacts with your circle, and then all the people who are part of your circle become connected through that as well.
Yeah.
So, we all participate. That's why it's important for all of us to understand how important we are. And we're moving into becoming spiritual humans, which is about being dual. So we had polarity where we're separate, and now we're become dual where we have to be both. We have to find that balance, and it's different for everyone, but that balance of being human and being spiritual and finding that midpoint. Mm-hmm. And one of our toughest lessons is acceptance. Mm-hmm. And acceptance doesn't mean you have to like anyone. It doesn't mean you have to love anyone. It just means you have to realize that they're there, they're in their space, and if you want to join them, that's fine, but their space isn't wrong. Yeah. It's right for them. It doesn't have to be right for you, but it's right for them. And then you have to make up your own mind about whether or not you want to be part of that energy. Yeah. And I'm not here to change anybody. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm here to share my message. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's great too. Because there are other people who like it, and I don't like everybody's message. There are a lot of people that I don't follow because I don't agree with them, but they don't speak my truth. That's not something I resonate with, so it doesn't mean anything to me. So they're just not on my radar. But so often we think that in order, acceptance and unconditional love really have to do with I have to like everybody and I have to be nice to everyone. No, you don't.
Yeah, and there was quite a trend there for a while that everybody has to wake up in order for us to ascend. Everybody has to do this. It's like this urgency, and that's, I think, why a lot of people got turned off, because people were really pushing to other people. You have to change because we're in dire straits here. And at some level, maybe we did know that, and maybe that's why a lot of us did change, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think it's possible to change because somebody else wants you to. I don't think you really do change. You can maybe change your outwardly, some of your behaviors, but internally, you have to change inside and then let it come out. So,
think about your mother. So I'm thinking about my mother. So think about your mother, because she's probably the person you're least likely to change. Mm-hmm. And the when I started really get along with my mother is when I stopped expecting her to change. Mm-hmm. And I stopped expecting her to behave a certain way with me. And my sister would say, well, how do you spend that much time with mom? Because I live in the same town she does. And I said, I stopped expecting her to be different.
That's a big one, because a lot of people, I mean, that goes for any relationship. I mean, your mother's a good example, especially, people who say, oh, my mother was perfect and everything was great. Well, they're rare. Most of us have had other, I mean, I do. On Mother's Day, I see that, it's this, wow, of love. Well, I just love my mother. And then you see the odd one going, that wasn't my experience and that wasn't mine. And people feel like they're outsiders. And it's like, no, I think we all have our challenges in relationships and so forth. But what I love so much is that people can access your information if they do resonate with it. And, it's there. You have they can sign up for your newsletter. They can listen to your blog talk radio show. They can get your books. And I'm going to put the link to your website on the video itself and make sure people know that they can access it there, because I love that. Whether, it may not be for everyone, but I love that you're doing it. And I love that you finally stopped looking for a job, because you apparently have been given one. So the recruiting officer from on high, I recruited you a long time ago. So thank you.
One of the things I want to say real quick, you say I talk about very spiritual things, but I talk about very mundane things too. So one of my most popular posts was, I talked about someone who unfriended me on Facebook. I unfriended, and that's all right by me. So I talk about how they unfriended me and how I was actually kind of glad that they did, because they hadn't been a very good friend anyway. I mean, they were my fair weather friend, but if I needed something, they were never around.
Yeah.
And another one is like 5 signs that you're bored with your life. I mean, a lot of people like that post too, because we get bored with stuff, and that's when you know that you're ready for a shift in energy, is when you get bored with your life. It doesn't make you happy anymore. Yeah. So being I want to say one more thing too. Being spiritual doesn't necessarily mean that your life turns golden. Like the worst time in my life when I started channeling Uriel, and that was like the absolute one of the most horrible times in my life. But I've also known a lot of people who in the last probably 5 to 6 years, have had some terrible health issues or terrible life issues. And just because you decide, okay, I'm going to step on the spiritual boat now and ride the sea of tranquility, that's not what happens. Usually your life goes down before it comes back up. So I just want to give everybody a warning. I had that. I also had, 2011, that's like 3.5 years ago, I had to have an emergency appendectomy. Totally messed up my Christmas that year, because it was the day after our Thanksgiving in November, and ended up having this massive tumor in my appendix. Luckily, it hadn't spread anywhere. And then I had a MRSA infection 2 years ago. So, I don't have I have a happy life. I love my life, but I don't have an idyllic life where nothing ever happens to me. I have things that happen, but
you have the tools.
I have the tools to be able to handle it and to deal with it effectively and to learn from it and move on.
Yeah, and I think that's the key right there is that there is no magic pill. There is no, life's going to still happen. It's whether or not we have the ability to accept it and to, still be happy even in our worst moments. It's a funny thing to say that, but it's also the other part of it is spiritual people, just because you are subscribing to a spiritual idea and whatever, does not mean you're a good person. It's there's that too. People say, well, that's not very, spiritual, whatever. Well, spirituality is just like human. I mean, there's all parts of dynamics of it. And sometimes it's going to show up as something people like, and sometimes it's not. I mean, I just don't think that they're just labels, and I do not like labels. So, that's just my little 2 cents there.
Well, that's like channeled information. So just because, and a lot of people ask me about this, because September's coming up and there's all this talk about September's going to be a horrible month, is, the economy going to fall apart, the world going to fall apart. No, none of that. But people think that just because information is channeled, that they need to read it. Well, there's a couple things. One is, does it resonate with you? Does it feel good? The other is, just because someone says they're channeling, I mean, they could be saying anything, it doesn't mean the same thing that it could for you. And it doesn't mean that it's information from on high and you need to really pay attention. It just means that this is their interpretation of what they're hearing. You either resonate with it, you like it, it feels good to you, or you don't.
And you need to actually do some, that's what I think today more than ever, you need to discern for yourself. You need to have a good intuitive, you need to have make that connection first, and then everything in your life you can assess from that more trusting place. You know, you need to trust yourself. And not put your trust and faith in other people or so forth. That's also, but I personally do really enjoy what you write, and it does resonate with me. So, so I really want to thank you for sharing this time with us and giving us a little more insight into the personal side and your journey, Jennifer. It's been absolutely awesome.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm lovely to have met you. See, I have a new friend thanks to the internet.
That's right.
And we've never even met in person, but we've met on Skype. So yeah,
I know. It's amazing. It is totally amazing. And for everyone watching, I want you to make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends, because and don't expect them to like it if they don't, but share it, because the more informed we are, the more we know there's tools and things available, like Jennifer's books and her Blog Talk Radio, that you can go and listen to. They're in the archives. You can listen to the previous ones, because I find that messages very often, if you're drawn to it, they still will have an important message for you.
Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchattingwithcatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.